Hey there, my name is Ash Shukla, and I'd like to say namaste and welcome to Financial Chakras. In this particular podcast, we're going to be discussing how do you attract abundance through alignment. And let's start with I'm going to bring up a guest here who is actually passing on his abundance in different part of the world than where he is originally from. And I'm so excited to have him here. And I just want to welcome him, but I want to welcome you for listening to this podcast. I appreciate you and I love you so much. And I want to say thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Abundance through alignment through financial chakras. Let's welcome here, my friend. His name is Tommy. Tommy is Kilpatrick. Tommy Kilpatrick,
That's
welcome,
right.
my friend. Welcome to this podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here, my friend. I know you are all the way in the other part of the world. Where exactly are you, my friend, right now?
I am in the Philippines,
You're in Philippines, okay. And where are you originally from?
America. Yep. Born
Amer-
and raised in California.
in California. Okay, so you went from California to Philippines. My friend, look at the journey, right? I mean, and you went to Philippines for a specific reason, and we'll dive into your story in a second, okay? But I want to just say thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, my friend. And yes, I love you too. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, okay?
My, yes. My love back to you.
Thank you, buddy.
And I
Thank
like
you
to
so much.
say, yeah, I would like to define things as I go. And the
Mhm.
word love in the Hebrew language means I give. So if you're giving, you're loving. And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to give to you and give to the community. So loving, it means giving.
Love it, my friend. Thank you so much for that. I did not know that, but I'm so glad you mentioned that, right? I really appreciate that, by the way. And those of you who are listening to us online, I want to let you guys know that we are going to have a nice conversation today because I believe in conversation and not a whole bunch of editing, cutting, and all that. I believe that it's good to listen to a authentic conversation versus not. So we're going to talk about Tommy. We are going to talk about your abundance, the spread, the word that you're spreading around across the world, and of course, you are literally across the world on the other side from California to where you are right now. So let's start talking about your story first. So please tell me a little bit about your story, and let's start with that real quick.
Well, sure. I was born and raised in Long Beach, next to Los Angeles, and I thought I'd never leave California. My dad was a CPA, so I went to college to be a CPA, thinking that would be the best thing. And then I ended up learning sign language, and I also had a double major of abnormal psychology. So I spent time at Napa State Mental Hospital, not as a patient, but as a technician there. And so I was able to connect to autistic children like the psychiatrist had never seen before. So when a kid was just tearing paper and pushing it through a fence, then reaching back, pulling it back again, I did what he did. And he was like, "You're doing what I'm doing?" Oh, okay. So I made instant friends with all the crazy kids. And I say that affectionately, all my crazy friends. So I just said to them, well, some of the autistic kids were psychotic, so they weren't able to even have a conversation. But the older kids that I could talk to, I just said, "I'm as crazy as you are. I'm just socially accepted. So let's figure out how you can be socially acceptable with your craziness and get out of here." So, and then ended up being a commercial diver. I worked in the oil field of Louisiana, and then came back and worked on tankers and super tankers. And then I got involved in with a nurse and got married and kids. And then she said after 20 years, she had enough of me, which probably is very accurate, true. So she said, take a walk and your dog too. And so I left. I became homeless on purpose. And I took a vow of poverty for 10 years and I just gave. So I ended up in a family in Arizona that was a Christian family. And I gave them a year. They had a bakery in their home. So I helped them bake bread and sell the bread for them. And then when I was leaving, I emptied out all my pockets, gave them all my money, gave them the motor home that I had purchased, and they handed me an envelope of money. So it was very funny. I empty out my pockets to be completely empty, and then they fill it back up again. And so I traveled across the United States, ended up over in Connecticut, and I was on a farm, and they had a hay house, and the hay bales were covered in plaster, and that's what the house and the barn were made of. And there was no running water, there was no electricity, and no heat. We got candles from the Catholic Church. They would donate us the stubs, and that's what used to heat my little room was three candles at night. And there was a Buddhist temple next to it. And so my host, the farmer, he had been in Tibet for, I don't know, 15 years and had adopted them. And so when he passed away a few years ago, that whole farm and the temple went to the local Tibetan group there in Connecticut. So then I ended up meeting a lady, and she took me up to Maine, and we had a great time for 10 years. And then things happened, and I found myself on the outside. I was on a nice, wonderful farm, never thought I'd leave. And I'm on the outside now. And now what do I do? So I decided to come to the Philippines to one, teach how to build dome houses with bamboo, two, how to do vertical gardening, and three would be to open up free medical clinics. So that's my little quick story about where I'm at now.
I love that, Tommy, my friend. That is so amazing, right? So tell me, like, what made you? I know you went from, from California, and then you tried out being homeless, and I was wondering, like, if you can go into what made you actually, transition into that, or what made you decide at some point that you want to give back to the world, and why?
Mhm. Well, I was raised Episcopalian. I was confirmed in the Episcopal Church. And I kind of, in high school, I kind of joined the little Jesus freak group to study the Bible, but that's because that's where some pretty ladies were. And so I was more motivated in checking out the women than I was the Bible. And then I led astray, and it's not unusual to go to college and come out as an atheist. It's so difficult if you don't have the tools. And the number one book that is recommended to read in the colleges, besides Bonehead English, is the Communist Manifesto. And my girlfriend of 10 years there on the East Coast, she went to a university college called Parsons of Design. It's like $1 million college, and it's only for exclusive artists. And the book that she was had to read was the Communist Manifesto. And so when you go to Satan's den, in a sense, from the Christian point of view, what do you expect when you come out? So I came out as an atheist. But then after being married for many years and having children, one day I got out of bed and God spoke to me and said, you know, not really said words, is that okay, I believe. I believe. Okay, stop. So from that point, it was like, what am I doing? And so I'm only trying to make money. That was my whole thing as being a man in the family. I was to make money. And but for what reason? For what purpose? Just to spend it. And that's not right. So when the opportunity came along and she said, get out, take the dog with you, I went, thank you. It was a blessing. It really was. So from here, I'd never been poor. I didn't know what it was like to be hungry. I didn't know what it was like to have not a house, not a place to sleep. Now, I was never dirty. I was never a drug addict, but I trust in God, and God provided what I needed, where I needed it, brought people into my life, all for a reason, all for a purpose. And that's one thing is that if I have something, then somebody wants to take it away from me. So I wanted to be in a place where I didn't have anything. Nobody can take anything away from me because all I have is nothing. And that's what I wanted to start off with. But then I've been blessed all along the way for 12 years. And here I am in the Philippines being blessed every day.
My friend, I love that story, by the way. And one thing that I took away from that, so you mean to say that, you could be empty inside, when you are totally focused on just one area of your life, which is just making money, and truly, like, you felt like you are not abundant at that point in time. So internally, like, tell me a little bit about what was the vibe inside of you, and what feeling, thoughts and beliefs you had developed, while you were accumulating money, and at the same time, like, when you started to go into transition of, this giving back in the world, or maybe even homeless, or into the giving back into the world in Philippines? Like, what are some of the feelings, thoughts, and beliefs you ended up, acquiring because of this?
Mhm. Well, typically being here in America, being raised as an American, what I call it is a currency dominated economy. When you're in that attitude, Pope John Paul II, he was asked, what's the biggest problem with the young people? And he said one word, consumerism. So we are all built on only buying and consuming. And what has to happen is you watch television, and the only purpose of that is to convince you to buy something you don't really need. And so they have to break your values. They have to break your belief system. You believe this way? No, you can't believe that. You got to believe that way. So if you believe that way, then you buy the product. Okay, I bought the product, but then a few years later, new improved came along, and that's wrong. And now we're going to go this way. Now you got to buy the new product. So the whole purpose of advertising is to break the family, break the individual. And so I had spent time on agricultural endeavors of the farm and things. So coming from an agricultural dominant economy, which I am here. Primarily, the Philippines is still agriculturally dominated in their thinking, even though more and more people are moving to the city, and it is changing. I saw the change there in America from the 50s to what is going on now, and I don't want to go back. It's lunacy there. So the feelings I had was just in the beginning was just to make money, but then what's the end result? So when you're in a currency dominant economy, the morals and values are actually going to hinder you from obtaining the money. So it's better to cheat, steal, lie, because you're going to get the dollar. But you can't do that when you're in an agricultural dominant economy. Sure, there's people who lie, cheat, and steal, but you can't keep doing that. The community is going to know that, and you're banished, and you won't survive. You have again, the Filipino people here don't see themselves as an individual; they see themselves as one. They're like one family. They're all work together. Uh, so it's that difference of being all by yourself versus being with a family, and that's what I ask the Filipinos, why are you so happy? And their consistent answer is always, we have family. And then I tell them, you have what I don't have. I don't have a family. So I've met
Mm,
somebody yesterday. We'll see if I'm going to have a family soon. But that's what I came here for. What I say is, Naga Pangita San Asawa. So I came here looking for a wife, but a wife who's going to come along with me and do all the things we want to do. So it's a different kind of change. So once you start not focused on the money, then what's the most important thing? And I learned Hiligaynon, that's the local language here, in about 30 days. And I've written a book. It's right now being edited. So you might want to have me back about how you speak a language in 30 days. And I said, what is the two most important words to learn if I was going to learn a new language? And the first one is God, so Dios, and love, Palanga. So once I learned those two words, now what? Okay, when I wake up, I want to say, good morning. So it's Mayunaga. And okay, then what? ¿Cómo está? How are you? Because I'm more interested in how are they feeling. But I didn't have some answers. So it could be okay, Ra. It sounds easy. Okay, Ra. Yeah, yeah. So I mix some of those words that sound like English to me, and it works. So if they answer something, I have no clue what they're saying. I didn't go, Mayun Man, which is another answer, or okay Ra, or okay Karu, or okay Id. So I have, and I'll say that back to them, and they'll laugh. And they'll say, yeah, 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 that's what kind of me. But I have no idea what they're saying. And then if we're standing there, I say, what you doing? So I say that in their language, and they look at me like, I'm kind of standing here. Oh, okay. And then I'll say back the word is tin dog, tin dog. So a dog made of tin. So I make it a joke that I like to say tin dog. And then I'm going to start walking, and that's la cat. So I've got a dog that stands there, it's tin. And then I go la, like in French or in Spanish, la cat. And that means to walk. So when I'm walking with somebody, I then say, where are you going? And they tell me maybe to work, trabajo, or to Dinahan, which is to go to shopping. And they might say something I have no idea. And I'll just say, work? No, no, but it doesn't matter. They really appreciate this big, tall, white giant who's a foreigner who's actually putting some effort out to actually learn their language and wants to engage in them. And they really do appreciate that. So that's the connection that you make when you stop thinking about the money. You start having to making relationships. And then how do you do that? Is you got to communicate. So I don't want to come off as the typical foreigner who only speaks English and you got to speak my language. No, it's their language, it's their culture. It's time for you to learn. But it's so simple that the way I've developed this revolutionary new idea is you pick the words you want to learn, you pick the phrases you want to learn, you practice those, and in 30 days, you'll be doing just fine. Don't worry about the syntax, don't worry about the grammar, but have a native come with you to be your pronunciator. You need to know how to pronounce these words correctly the first time, which I didn't have, but now I do. So now I have a what I call a maestra. She's my teacher of Hiligaynon. So I don't want her to teach me the way she was taught in school. I don't want to read from a book. I don't want to AI. I don't want to interpret. I don't want a translator. I want the words that I want to use. I want to learn that I ate. I want to know the vegetables. So today we're going to go to the market. I already know lots of vegetables, and the vegetable market people are very impressed with me when I come up and I say, I want this and this and this. I say it in their language, but I may not be pronouncing it correctly. So that's the advantage is first of all, have someone there who knows the language to help you interpret, but you choose the way you want to learn the language, and you will learn that language in 30 days. So soon I'll have it in Basaya, another one will be in Tagalog, and then maybe Hindi and German and French. So with the AI, they can switch all the words out, and I've got the book because it's basically structured the same. So that's kind of like a long story, but that's where I went from thinking only about money to now thinking about relationships and people and letting go of the money because you don't need it.
Hmm. So, yeah, the myth, right? The money is everything. Would you say that in your journey you found that to be not true?
Well, first of all, it's they say the love of it's money is the root of all evil. No, it's the love of money is the root of all evil. So that's where you're only focused on the money. I had my son in a daycare, and it was for part time. My wife and I were both part time working, and we were full time parents. But just to give us a little break, he went to a daycare, and I stopped by. It's our friend, and she had the kids in a circle, and they passed a penny around, 1 penny, and then there was 2 pennies, and then there were 3 pennies, and pretty soon there were handfuls of pennies. The kids had to scoop up the pennies next to them and pass to the next person, and there were more pennies. They couldn't believe it. Where are all these pennies coming from? So then she said, "See what happens when you pass the penny, you get many. Now, everybody hold
Mm,
on to a penny and don't pass any. When you hold the penny, you don't get any. So it's not to hold the money. The money is energy. The money is stored up energy from somebody else. You pass it along to somebody else. So the whole idea is to pass it along, but to make it better. And so when I'm here in the Philippines, they have no concept of pay it forward. So I go to this little stand, and she sells bread, and so I buy a lot of bread from her. She really appreciates me giving her some pesos, and then she puts them in bags. And then I walk up to people, and I'll say, "Isa ka regala halin sa okon sa imo." This is a gift from me to you. And so I hand them a bag of bread. Now, it's just not someone random on the street that gets this. No, they have to be doing something. So there's a lady sweeping the street, which I appreciate walking on a clean street. So I tell her, here's a gift from me to you for you doing this. And so I really appreciate that. And she just smiles and just appreciates it. Or I'll be in line to buy something and I'll say, see the guy behind me? I'm paying for his too. And then I walk away. So I'm not there to get the, oh, thank you, sir. It's like that guy just walking away. He paid for you. I was at a trade
mm,
show last week, and it was a travel trade show, and I was looking for a travel buddy. And I asked 50 Filipinos, would they come along with me? Oh, no, sir, I'm working. So I went to the next booth, and it was a mango. They had mango drinks. So I said, okay, I'll take one. Oh, make that two. So then the second one came up, and I walked over to that booth and I said the same thing. Here's a gift from me to you. And I walked away. I didn't need to have any, oh, I need a date or something like this. No, no. It was just here's a gift from me to you. Thank you for being so good and nice to me. I'm going to pass that back on to you. So that's the whole idea I want to start here in the Philippines is a pay it forward concept.
I love that, my friend. And you find it more fulfilling too, right? Like now that you're going there, and so because first you're coming from an energetic point of view, from chakras point of view, it's almost like there was a did you feel like there was something missing, when you made the transition?
Oh, absolutely. When you're only focused on money, it's those lower chakras and stuff, and you're not open. But then once you let it go, I teach people hold it this and then do this. Hold it tight and let it go three times, and then you can allow the chakras to flow through you. So my intention of the medical clinics is self-managed care, self-managed medical care. So the whole idea to teach them how anatomy and physiology works, because most of them have no idea how this body works. So give them some education, but they may have some concept of chakras, maybe they don't. But there's these energy vortexes through the body, and so I have them lay down, and I know reflexology, so I can teach them how to massage the hands and the feet to relieve pain in the body. But right now, I'm actually having a hypobaric chamber being built, a hypobaric. And now this is,
Yeah,
you've heard of
yeah,
hyper, which is more pressure, but the hypo is less pressure.
right.
So the second day I arrived here in Iloilo, I went to the Science and Technology University, and I met with the administration. And then they brought the people from the engineering division department over, and I talked to them. I said, "I'll pay to have you build this device, and along the way, that your students will learn how to build a hypobaric chamber, and it can be
Mhm.
so simply built. We can build a lot of them. So it's just basically a box that's going to fit over a massage chair. So by laying down a massage chair and getting a massage, it's going to help open up your chakras with the reflexology. And then what we do, we take you on a ride up to 22,500 feet. So you're in a box. We close the door. It's not a coffin. It's got windows in it, so it's going to have so you'll be able to see out. And you hit the switch, and it starts to suck the air out. Suck the air out. Yeah. So it's going to create a vacuum. So what we do is we take you from sea level up to 22,000 feet. And when you're at that level, 8 pounds of pressure has been lifted off your body. So people who have had pain their entire life for the first time could experience pain free because a nociceptor, the receptors in our body that puts pressure and tells the brain that hurts, is all of a sudden gone temporarily. It's oh my gosh. So within seconds, a valve opens up and fresh air rushes in and you're at sea level again. And so all you feel is your ears popping, pop, pop, pop. And then after a while, you tend to relax and fall asleep, especially when you're getting a massage. You're going to be asleep very quickly. So in a half an hour, we've tricked the body into thinking it's at 22,500 feet. So that's a hypoxic state. Hypoxia means lack of oxygen. When the body is under this condition, what it does, it becomes more efficient at oxygen use, which kills cancer. Cancer dies in the contact of oxygen. The other thing it does, it produces more red blood cells, and that's going to help the body repair itself and have a steroidal effect without taking steroids. And the third thing is that it produces stem cells. Your body's own stem cells are embryonic cells that could be any kind of cell for the body to use. And that happens within about 2 weeks. And
Mm.
athletes have used this because they get acclimated at a higher altitude, and then they maybe do the Olympics at in Mexico City, which is a mile high. They will be acclimated. The military uses this to acclimate their soldiers to be at 22,000 feet. And if they go to Afghanistan, which is 7 and 9,000 feet, they're acclimated already to higher level. So they're actually more efficiently soldiers than even the natives and even the soldiers that have been there for a while because they're still then they get reacclimated at 7,000, but you want to come in at a higher level. So this has a great benefit of health and healing, and it's so inexpensive to make. So the whole idea is to teach the carpenters how to make this and let them go, let them sell these things, and it's a healing machine that could be in our clinics.
So
So
you're
this
you're
again,
actually creating an
giving back to
opportunity for
people.
them. I'm sorry. So you're creating an opportunity for people for them to sell it and make money from it, and you're creating like a whole new economy, right? So and this is what I tell people all the time with financial chakras is that when you come to that state of like being truly aligned, which is, what you have gone through in terms of journey, right? You give up the materialistic life. You said, you're going to get grounded, and then now you're in the state of like giving. And when you're really finding your true calling, and you can actually make a profound impact on people's lives. And not only you're making profound impact on other people's lives from a, hyperbaric chambers, but also you're helping people, like let them sell it so they can go make money from it, and creating a whole new economy. So, when you talk about like abundance, I really appreciate you for this, because, you are going from California to other part of the world and making such a big difference. And I just want to say thank you for that, right? Because, it's very hard to find that kind of giving, right? I mean, many times people say, okay, I made a lot of money, but then they, you see a lot of people, like, in the especially examples of, many people who have died wealthy, but, literally were empty internally, right? And I find that, and a lot of times money is a symbol, like, internally is a, you're going from to a third chakra, which is really speaks to your importance. And some people just want to be important, want to feel important, because I think a lot of times childhood things, come into play, where they were not paid attention to, or they were made fun on, or they were bullied, or something of that nature. And when they grow up, I feel like sometimes they're like, what, I am important, and they're trying to get all that attention. And in the process, they forget that there's more to the world of what they're looking to do. And they make a lot of money from it, but they're still empty, and that's why they keep on doing things that they shouldn't do. And I find that what you did was so profound, my friend, Tommy, is that you literally went from, being somebody here. You made some money, you made good money, and then you went on streets, like, literally went from money to no money, right? It's like, I tell people I came here from India with 20 bucks and no English, and it's almost similar, right? Almost similar. And I'm like, wow, when
Yeah.
you told me that story for the first time, I was like, oh my god, that is so amazing, right? And you actually did, what I ended up doing when I came here, and you did that, and then you went to another country. And I think, first of all, I want to say my hats off to you, buddy. I really
Well, thank
appreciate
you.
that. You're so welcome. And I know there are a few interesting things that you're building in Philippines, and I want to talk a little bit about that as well, because
Mhm.
hyperbaric chamber, I love the idea, by the way. And as you were saying it, I was like relaxing in my mind, and I wanted to just get into it. I wanted to. I'm like, I want one of those. Like, I want. So I thought it was kind of cool to just listen to that. Okay. So
Mhm.
let's get into the. Thank you so much for. Hi, Faizun. Thank you so much for loving my podcast. I appreciate that. So that being said, right, when you look at your when you take a look at hyperbaric chamber, okay, and when people go inside, how long does it take them to go from like the sea level to the 22,000 feet, like that level?
In the beginning, you need to have them practice their ear. They need to stretch the eardrum. So they can't handle that right away. So they're not used to going up. There's really not much of an elevation here in the Philippines for most people. They don't get in cars and drive up and down the mountains. Like in Los Angeles, if I was living in Big Bear, I'd be doing that 6,000 feet drop every day I drove to work. So I'd be well practiced. But for most people, they're not. So you take them through maybe a session or two of just rolling 500 feet and then back down so they get used to it. And if you have a cold, that's not going to work because that sinus fluid in there is not very good. So, and if there might be an eardrum problem. So, again, you just want to go slow. But once you do that, about 15 seconds is all it takes for it to get up to there. And then instantly you're back down. So then it's like constantly a vacuum. And so a vacuum's always on as long as you turn the switch on. When you're inside, you turn the switch on. So there's a vacuum. And then there's a vacuum release valve, and that's set at 22,500 feet. But you can have another one set, let's say, at 15,000, and maybe another one set at 10. So if you only want to go to 10,000 feet and then come back down, that's fine. So you leave that one open. But if you want to go higher, you close that valve, and the next valve is the one that feels that vacuum at that pressure. That then sucks the thing out, and all of a sudden air rushes out, but then it closes back up again. So you can choose your height of what you want to do. And then within seconds, you're at sea level, and it's automatic. You don't have to do anything. Just sit in your chair, enjoy yourself, and take a ride. And you can do that for a half an hour because the chair rides for half an hour. You can do it as often as you want. But the fun part of it is what we want to do is testing. That's the advantage of the Western medicine is the diagnosis. So they now have those things that can be put on your finger or on your hand, your wrist, that gives you the blood sugar and tells you the oxygen level. So they can wear that and they can see where they're getting the oxygen at not much at 22,000 feet, but in seconds, they're down at sea level, which is 20% oxygen. And so they look and they go, oh my gosh, look at the oxygen. And then they can tell from the meter. I don't know that. We can also take a little sample of blood and put that through analysis and see what it's like after one session, 5 sessions, 10. So we can actually show before and after what is happening. But also the more important thing is they come in with a diagnosis of cancer, and in 30 days, they don't have cancer. Oh my gosh. Now, um, who would benefit from this is everybody, but who's got the money? Well, foreigners. Foreigners have dollars, the euros, the Deutschmarks. That's what I try to teach the Filipinos here is how can we get those currency in our pockets? And so from that, we can convert it to pesos, and now we can help our Filipinos. So that's why a foreigner comes in and says, I see the rate here if I'm a local, Filipino local, meaning not an expat, but come on. And there's a higher price. You are subsidizing healthcare for all these people for them to get healthy. So it's like pay it forward. We take a lot of money from you and we spread it out to a lot of people who don't have very much. So that's the whole idea of this. And this could be done in all the malls, everywhere across the country. They don't have to buy it. We could probably install it and just do a very small charge because there's a giveaway is a throwaway. So if I don't put any value on it, why should you? But I give it freely, but they have to do something. There is no free lunch. So when we're doing things for the community, remember, if all they got is an egg, that's enough of a blessing. We don't have to be of 30 peso value. It's just give us an egg or a chicken, or go out and sweep the street in front of the place, make this place look nicer. Go fishing and bring us some fish back. It does, but you have to do something. You have to do that with all of equality. You have to put something out, and if you don't get something back, something's going to be taken away from you. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't want that to happen. So you give, but then you also have to receive back. So it's not because when you give, it's always about control. It's not about power control. It's being with people. So that's the whole idea. And then when I build the geodesic dome houses, I teach the farmer how to cut the bamboo. And there's a computer program that will tell you the size. So all they have to do is find out their customer. How tall do they want the dome or how wide do they want it? And it's all it is. Just give us one dimension and the computer tells them all the steps, all the parts. So when it arrives on site, the person who purchased the kit needs no tools. This requires no tools. Now this one here is made of PVC, so just imagine it being of bamboo. And it can be a bamboo tube, but I've also learned how to take the thicker ones and you strip it. And you strip it down to actually sticks. So you drill a hole through it and you put a zip tie. So the only thing that comes in the kit that is not bamboo is the plastic zip tie. Then you're going to say, well, that bamboo is going to rot. Yes, but that's why you cover it in mud. And you cover it in mud. Well, mud's got termites in it. Yes, but there's certain ways that you got to put the boric acid in with the mud so you keep the bugs out from eating it. And they say, well, the mud houses will fall apart. Yes, that's true. You have mud on your land, you have clay on your land, but you got to sift it. And then by sifting it, you get the right balance of mud. So you first build the mud house and you dry it, it's going to crack. Now you come back with another layer, like a plaster layer, and that goes on top. And you can't tell that you've got a mud house, and particularly you can't tell there's inside is buried a bamboo dome house. And this is so the whole idea is to teach that farmer how to then sell kits. They don't need to know the
Mm,
mathematics. It's all done on the website. All they need to do is how long and and where to ship it to. And so it's not. Now here's the vertical gardening. That's what I'm talking about. They're growing food out here in front of my place, and it's in the ground. It's been doing for 10,000 years, and there's goats. Goats are going to eat all of that. That a goat cannot eat at the top. So that's what we want to do
mm,
is turn this whole horizontal farming into vertical farming. And now you have an abundance of food. So
mm,
again, it takes the burden off of going to the store, buying vegetables. And funny enough, there's stores here that have those tubes. They're not vertical, they're like horizontal, but they have all of the lettuce growing in
mhm.
it. And you take the lettuce out, and the roots are there, and the water is there. So they are actually bringing already mature, already made in this hydroponic fluid to this grocery store, and they pop them in so that people can come by and buy them. So
Yeah.
when I was
Eh,
on the farm nearby, it's a huge, huge warehouse, greenhouse, and they were growing abundance of this. Every day they harvest it. Every day they're planting.
I love that. And you know what I'm learning from this is that abundance. You know, when they talk about abundance and truly like aligning yourself, you're so passionate, my friend, about what you're doing, and I love it because you're truly not just agriculture wise you're making a difference, but you're also making a huge difference economically in the world, in part of the world where you're giving them chance to come up, right? Where most people talk about that, and you or Tommy are actually doing it. And I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you for serving the world. Thank you for making a difference. Thank you so much for helping other people in so many ways. And in turn, you're also helping people here, right? Like people who have the dollars, right? In a way of like, especially when it comes to these chambers, and when it comes to these tower gardens, or something of the nature, and looking absolutely beautiful. So I love that idea, right? So the when it comes to the building process is concerned, how long does it take for you to build the hyperbaric chamber or the gardens?
Oh, sure. Um, I you think of it like a platform. So you've got to have some kind of a plywood platform for the massage chair to fit on. Then
Mm-hmm.
all you need is two sides and a back. So now you got kind of like a horseshoe shaped thing or a U-shaped thing. And then you would have something in front of it to keep it together, kind of like a little box. But then you want a door to come down on it, and that can be all glued because when you start to suck it out, you need to have it airproof, as airproof as possible. And so what you can do is put that underneath a vacuum, a small vacuum, and you'll notice where it's leaking. And all you do is put epoxy, squirt epoxy where you can see maybe some smoke is coming in, or you can kind of hear it or see it sizzling. So you seal that up, and the vacuum is going to suck that resin right into where it needs to be done. The
Mm.
door would be like a rubber gasket. So once you have a rubber gasket down to a groove or something, once you start that vacuum, it's going to hold it tight. So the other idea I have is make it loose with gaskets, and that would be like a latch. So the parts that could just come and a little bit rattly, but then once the vacuum starts, it sucks down and it's not going anywhere. And then when it
Mm.
lets go, the whole place kind of opens up. I'm imagining that. So I haven't done it yet. I was in one of these chambers. It was called a CVAC, and I was in the town I lived in, and I used it all the time. Even my dog and I rode in it. So I wanted to see what would happen. So they're out of business because they were trying to sell them for about $100,000, $200,000, which is way too expensive, way too sophisticated. But they had press releases. They were selling to sports teams. They had them in hospitals. The military was buying them, and they were in the news. You search now for hypobaric, and Google will correct it to be hyper. And if you talk about that in the military, it will. But the military article misquotes it as hyper. It's a hypobaric. So you can find some information about how the military is using this. But for the most part, it's been scrubbed clean. And I was shocked. I had to go to Chat GBT for it to search everywhere and brought me a few paragraphs about the company. The company I knew the principals and stuff like that. So I was there quite often. So I knew these people. So, well, I'm not going to buy one for 100,000. You can't. So I'll make one, but I don't have to make it sophisticated. Make it simple and make it simple so that it can be made here, made there, made everywhere. And I'll easily, happily, once we have it made, and then I'll have send you the blueprints and send you the plans and stuff like that. And that's really simple. Back to your consciousness, it's you either have poverty consciousness or you have abundance uh, uh, con- um,
Conscious.
what I'm trying to say. Yeah, it's poverty
Consciousness.
consciousness. That's right.
Yeah.
So it's your consciousness is what's there. So either you can be, I don't have enough, or hey, there's plenty. Because once I drink the glass, I can pour more in. I was a coach for my kids' soccer. Because we signed him up late, they said, "Oh, it's okay if you sign him up late, but you're going to be the coach." I went, "Okay." So the first day, I had all the kids around me. I had like under 10 boys. I had like 8 of them. And I said, "Here's a pitcher of water, and here's cups. Show me how much you know about soccer." So the knowledge of soccer is the water. Fill the cup up and show me. And all the kids were filling the cups up and they were following over and say, "Look, coach." And I just shook my head and I turned around dejected and walked away. Well, coach, coach, where are you going? And I stopped. I turned around and came back. "You don't need me. You know everything. What can I do? Do
Mm-hmm.
you want me to be your coach?" "Yeah."
Wow.
"Okay, turn your head down and shake it. Shake
Yeah.
all that knowledge of soccer out of your head. Okay, let's go." "No, no, no, no ball." "Coach, it's soccer." "I know, no ball." So I taught them how to position themselves on the field without a ball. I had them imagine the ball was there. So we moved as a block. I even had my goalie come all the way up to midfield because when the ball was that far down, goalie, just don't sit way back there. I need you up here. Kick that ball back into play. Keep that ball on their side. If it's on that side of the goal, on that side of the field, more likely we're going to score a goal. So when the ball came this side, our whole block moved over. When it came over on that side, we block move over. Block, they were like a military block, is that you would learn in military tactics. And that's how I taught them. So you got to shake the knowledge out. So you come from an abundance point of view, you just see abundance everywhere. And it's just an attitude. Change your attitude and the world changes. So
I love that, Tommy. I love that. Thank you so much for that. Because I think that, look, in the world of making a difference, right? We're in the place, right now. I believe in economic times where everything is globalized, right? Everything is more, it's a lot more local than you think it is. Okay, so many times we believe, we are, like individual place. We are in this little corner of the world and things of the nature. But I believe that in today's world is like literally just a one big one big globe, right? And it's almost like we are all one in so many ways, and we're just learning from each other. So from a Philippines point of view, like what are some of the things you've learned, that Philippines, have, do, the beauty around it and things like that, that we truly miss, especially in the US.
well, living here, what you have are typhoons, earthquakes, you have volcanoes, you have destruction, and their whole history has been of destruction. So their life growing up, they could be wiped out, their houses, villages. It's not uncommon. So it's part of their culture, and they don't think about tomorrow. If they've got
Mhm.
pesos today to eat, they're they get fed. They're very happy. They got a place to sleep tonight. Their rent's paid. They're happy. So all they're really focused on is the now. So when you say nowhere, I'm nowhere. All you do is put a space, and you have now here.
Mm.
So no, they're always now here, and they're in the present. So they don't have a concept of saving. They don't have that futuristic thing that an American, especially with the currency dominated economy that I've experienced, come here. So I can mix that up with them a little bit. So that's the whole idea, is to give them a little bit more that they can have, and they can enjoy their life better, because they're working so hard. And it's back to there's a guy named Myron Golden, and he's on YouTube, and he does a video on it's easier now to become rich than any time in the history of the world.
Right.
And he quotes the Bible, and it says basically that you should learn and be in your own generation. You will be wealthier by doing what you're in your own generation than the one in the past. So he tells a quick story, and you think that he made this up, but no, I came across a book. So he read a book and it talked about it, but he describes it much better than I would be able to do that. But very beginning is that about 10,000 years ago, we had the agricultural revolution. So if you owned land, you were rich. If you didn't own land, you were poor. That's all there was. In 1750, the Industrial Revolution came along, and machines could do the work of people. So now that created a middle class, but now you go to work for a factory. So now we have schools. So you go to school to learn a skill. But then you had an idea of, why don't you be a manager? Then you don't have to do the physical work like being a cog in a wheel. So go to college and get your degree, and you'll have a great life. Well, that worked great up until about 1950, because in 1950 we had a distribution revolution. So what do you do with all these products? And people did it in multi-level, direct marketing, superstores. You have these kinds of things of distribution through the mail. But then in the 70s, we had a revolution of the computer revolution. And Sam Walton of Walmart wanted to know, when do I reorder? I see people walking out with a product, but I don't want to go back to the shelf and count and then go back in the warehouse and count. I want to know when to reorder. And that put the pressure or the interest or the demand to create a personal computer that would work for that company. So that's what they did. And so if you're involved in the computer revolution, you made money a lot faster than the people in the distribution, and much faster than the one in industrial, and much more faster than the agricultural. And it's always shorter and shorter and shorter. So 2000 comes along, we have the internet, we have Google. So if you're in that, you're making money. But then we came to the time of the infotainment. So now we don't have to wait to be approved for my book. I printed a book, put it on Amazon, and I've been talking. I've already had 40 podcasts on that book alone. And then once I produce my language book, I'll be on podcasts all around the world again, promoting that book. But Amazon does all the selling. It does all the printing. I don't have to do anything. I wrote it. I had somebody edit it. I had somebody put pictures into it, put it into a flip book. I sent it back to me. I uploaded it to Amazon. 3 days later, it's now available for sale worldwide. So the world has changed. Now, what I've taken that to be, next step is the free revolution. Everyone expects everything to be free. Free Wi-Fi, free shipping, cholesterol free, sugar free, everything is free. So I've figured out a way how you can make money giving free food away. And so in America, we have a thing called food stamps called SNAP, and they have the same thing here in the Philippines. They give the Filipino 3,000 pesos a month just because you're poor. Well, it doesn't really make it. Okay, it's really hard for one family to make it. But what if we had 100? And that's what I did. I talked to a local restaurant guy, and he was fascinated by the whole idea that he could have 100 neighbors get 3,000 pesos each, which is what? Uh, 3,000 pesos by 100, 300,000 pesos a month. And that could then be made into bigger dishes. So now every single family has a hot 5 course meal for supper and for dinner. And if they want an extra one, give them an extra one. It doesn't matter. But there's so much food. And then you have them produce the food at home too. So you give them the seeds, they do the vertical gardening, you give them a chicken, they take it home, it lays eggs, they bring the eggs back, or they eat them there. It's just trying to get more abundance. So pigs, look, little piglets are so much fun to have, but they don't really like them when they get bigger because they get ornery and stuff. So have them enjoy raising a little piglet to the right size, and then we come by and swap them out and give them that little piglet. We take that pig, raise it to be bigger, and butcher it, and now that's part of their meal. So this can all be done freely. But then when somebody comes up who wants to buy a meal, well, then fine, they pay for the meal, but all the food's free. And so what we can do is teach people how to be a chef. They don't have to go to school. There's no more going to permission. You don't have to do an entrance exam. If you want to learn how to cook, come here. And I have culinary artists in residence. So when you have an artist in residence, you pay their room and board for them to do their artwork. Well, these people are going to do artwork, but of food. So they come here, they would sleep and be fed, and they get a little stipend. They're not going to be poor, they're not a slave. They came here to learn how to be a chef, and I want them to cook all day and bake all night. And I want instant feedback. So when I take their meal out, and I'm talking an art piece, this is going to be artwork that they're going to present to you, and you're going to, oh my God, I don't want to eat it. It looks so beautiful. No, Taryn, tell me what you think. What do you, is that too sweet? Is that too salty? What is it? What don't you like? There's something biting inside your tongue. Tell me what you don't like about this. Then I'll go back and I'll do it differently. Or, hey, everyone's got their own opinion and I like it the way I make it. So they can at least get a little tougher skin. And that's what I want them to do is learn how to be a chef hands-on. But the people, the running this, it's going to be a moneymaker, even though you're giving away food for free. And it works. So here in America, we have the food pantry and the food bank. So my whole idea is to take the SNAP money and put that in with the pantry food, and it also the farmers around. So when I go to the pantry, when I was poor and I didn't have anything, I went to the pantry and they would give me food. Many of it was most of the vegetables are going to rot within a day or two. And that's why the stores give it so they can take the tax deduction. It doesn't rot on their hands. They don't have to deal with it. They give it to the food bank, and the food bank doesn't want it. They give it to the pantry. The pantry doesn't want it. They give it to you, and you take it home and it rots. So there you go, throwing it away. So the whole idea is if we got 1,000 pounds of onions and we got a couple of 100 pounds of free butter, what would you do? You'd caramelize them, right? But then what are you going to do with 1,000 pounds of caramelized onions? Well, you are a licensed commercial kitchen. All you do is bag it up and take it to a restaurant and give it to them free. What? Yeah, we have the insurance too. We're paying the insurance to have you as a writer. We'll put you on so you won't be sued if we screw up. You got your insurance covered, but we want to give you, we got the onions for free. My staff is free. I'm giving you the food for free. And they go, well, you know what? I've got this whole steaks in here that are about to rot, and I'm going to be closed for the next 3 days. Why don't you take that? And they take a tax deduction. Great. So now we have steak. Now what do we do with steak that's about to rot? I don't turn it into stew, turn it into something, and then bring it back to them as already a meal ready to serve to their customers. So we could make their own spaghetti sauces because we have thousands and thousands of pounds of tomatoes that are about to rot. So we simmer them and we find recipes from the community who know how to do this right. This is the way we do it in this part of Italy. Oh, we do it over this way in Italy. So I don't care. Because it's never the same. So the food is never going to be consistent because we want it to be different because people have different recipes, different flavors, different food comes in. So that's what we can do with all this abundance is package it up, but we still can make money on this. So it's really a strange concept. That's a book I'm working on, but after the language books, I'm working on that one, which explain everything and have all the details and hopefully have some real life examples. But yeah,
I love that.
it's the
Thank you
free
so.
revolution.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that very much. I love the idea of really looking at everything as abundance and creating economies of scale. And I think it is such a beautiful message you're delivering, my friend. So I want to say thank you so much for today. I really appreciate it. Is there a website or someplace they can visit to find out more about you, my friend?
Yeah, just type out Tommy A. Kilpatrick. I can't access the Tommy Kilpatrick one anymore. I don't remember the email and what it's
Yeah.
associated with. I don't remember the password. So, and you can also find it in the show notes or my email will be there too. So I'd love to talk to you. It'd be lots of fun to connect.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate the
Thank
way
you.
you showed how you are actually passing on abundance. I really love it. Love the fact that you are totally in alignment, and the more you spoke, the more you got excited. And those of you who are listening, I want you to know that when you are truly in alignment, when you truly find your zen, when you find your that inner peace that you're looking for, you will know, because you will internally get excited, and you no longer need to listen to motivational books or listen to motivational tapes or listen to, oh, I don't even know if tapes exist anymore, but listen to motivational stuff online. You will be automatically motivated, and that's when you know you've found your true being, that's inside of you. And my friend, that is truly exciting, as you saw that with Tommy over here. Okay. And my friend, my wish to the universe that may it help you find that space that you are looking for, so you too can attract your abundance your way, and you create your own formulas and your signature where you are making a difference in the world. And that is my true wish to the universe. So I want to say thank you so much for being here today. Tommy, I want to appreciate you very, very much, my friend. I really, really appreciate you. Okay. So
I
that's
appreciate you
one.
too.
Yeah, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, guys. So those of you who are listening to me, I really appreciate you. I love you guys very, very much. And my friend, I wanted to just let you know very, very sincerely that is my wish to the universe that may it give you all the health, wealth, and happiness and all the abundance that you deserve. And my friend, that is why I have this podcast, Financial Chakras, Abundance Through Alignment. And you saw today how Tommy got aligned, and then he found his abundance. Where before, where he was not aligned, and you saw that all he was doing was making money. As a doctor, he did make money, but internally he was empty. And then once he found his alignment, and you saw his excitement, and that's what it does for you. When you are truly abundant inside, then you can truly get aligned. And if when you're truly aligned, you can feel absolute abundance inside. And there's possibilities are endless at that point. Your second chakra, your sacral chakra, begins to open, and you get to do unbelievable things. And this entire pathway that's inside of you, with 70,000 plus nadis, and there are 70,000 plus nerves inside of you, and 86 billion neurons, they all get to open up and say, ta-da, I'm here, right? And that being said, that's what you get to do. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Those of you who are listening to me, I want to say thank you. I love you guys very, very much. I can't wait to see you on the other side as I bring on more guests, but more importantly, more meaningful messages that truly resonate with you. And today's Tommy story, coming from United States, growing up here, becoming a doctor, making lots of money, deciding to voluntarily become homeless, and then going to Philippines to serve other people. I think it's a beautiful testament, beautiful, amazing story, to let you guys know that truly abundance does come through true alignment. My friend, with that in mind, I want to say thank you so much for being here. I love you very, very much. Okay. Love you very, very much. Thank you. I'll see you on the other side. Be sure to visit financialchakras.com for more information as we are doing this podcast. And you can visit my website, and you can truly find more gems, and more podcasts as I'm putting them together. So I want to say thank you so, so much. Thank you. Namaste. And I'll see you on the other side. Thank you.